Smiles, everyone. Glad to see everyone. I'm going to just read a quick quote here, real quick. This is from Ken McLeod. It says, "You may begin to practice with the idea that will help you in your life. But as time goes on, you realize that you've become more interested in what you can accomplish through the practice, awakening, presence, whatever you want to call it. But as still more time goes by, you come to appreciate that any kind of goal, any kind of objective, prevents you from being present to your experience. And increasingly, the only thing to do is experience whatever is arising as completely as possible." So go ahead and gently close your eyes. And you can experience the bell. All right. So I read that section from Ken McLeod. It's actually from Curtis Sensei's book Atomo. I don't know if many of you got this book, but you should if you've not. And I'm going to read a little bit from chapter 14. Chapter 14 for me is a kind of a personal chapter in a sense, because it recites a story that many of us have already heard, and I won't go into it. I'll leave that for your reading enjoyment when you get the book. And he talks about cutting in front of the mirror with Suzuki Sensei. And then he goes on to say that, finally he was able to cut. And Suzuki Sensei said to him that, finally you did it. Basically, you could teach Bokken anywhere. And I kind of feel like Paul Harvey. He's an old-time radio guy. I'm kind of dating myself, but he would give you the rest of the story. So the rest of the story is after this event occurred, Curtis Sensei came to Arizona on a seminar. So it was fresh with him after this situation that occurred. He comes to Scottsdale teaching a seminar to us. And of course, we didn't really know anything about it. But he begins to at that point in this, I think this was back in my day of giving Sensei a list of things he should teach at the seminar. So I think I was assigned to be his Atomo while he was there, and I kind of said, "Oh, Sensei, by the way, myself and Mayumi and Pat are preparing for Shodan or something, or we need to do Tanto Dori or something, Tanto Arts." And I asked him if he would concentrate the seminar around Tanto Arts. And of course, he was very nice, and he accommodated us. But of course, we always did a day of weapons, and he would go over the weapons training with us on Sunday in the seminar. And he began to tell us a story about, cutting in the mirror with Suzuki Sensei. He noticed in Arizona we had a mirror. He asked if we cut in front of it, and that we should. And I think he lined us all up and taught us how to cut in the mirror. And it was really interesting because this was so fresh with him that he was really trying to transmit it to us, the importance of this cutting and how important it is in your training and what it reveals. And so I'm going to read a little bit from his book where he talks about it. Here's a prime example of the ongoing paradox in all of our training. If it were not for my goal-setting obsession, which produced a continuing sense of hope in me, there is no way that I would have the fortitude to stick around for so many years. Therefore, it is obvious that setting a goal and the accompanying hope are an essential element of our practice. On the other hand, eventually I was to discover that my clinging to the hope of being correct, of critical success itself, was preventing me from awakening to what my teacher was pointing to, my true nature, which existed fully before I was born. We are often motivated to become some kind of spiritual practice because, in frustration, we get tired of struggling, and with the newfound spiritual goal, hope for something more. Our understanding of personal development can be a relative, limited one, as mine was for so long in the story above. A notion of gaining something that we have not yet attained by mastering the relative condition of any particular pursuit, instead of letting go entirely of the idea of gain. Of course, this kind of phenomenon is by no means limited to the practice of cutting with the wooden sword. We get tired of being isolated and separate from those we love, from every group we know, from the apparently limited aspects of our life, and long for more. We feel separated from money, so we want more. We get separated from power, so we want to get more. Not only hope and desire, but of course, on the other side, a sense of fear of loss is necessarily created in this way. There is an attraction arising in concert with this sense of self. Both, of course, there is also aversion, since whatever we are separated from can threaten us. I thought this is a really good thing to discuss. So, this striving for more, thinking that something's going to give us more, whether it be training, whether it be power, whether it be money. And I think it's something that, is good to discuss. So I think Fincher will divide you up into two groups of four so you guys can discuss it, and we'll come back and have a little bit more discussion. Who would like to open tonight's conversation? I particularly liked the topic for tonight.
Well, I guess I can start, Sensei.
Great.
Not to necessarily represent our group, but just to give comments from our group. We were in group one with Lillian. Gloria dropped out of our group about halfway through too, John and myself. And I think we all sort of tossed around this paradox of needing to strive. I mean, striving, having its place, but not really getting you to the top of the mountain, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not really wanting to stop our striving, but you can understand it has its limitations as far as getting us to this goal. It gets us to goals, but not maybe this goal that we're talking about, that your report is pointing to. So we talked a little bit about, as we go through our lives and we strive, it's sort of like practicing in the dojo. You're doing it again and again and again and again throughout your life, as the same as you practice in the dojo. And if we parallel the two, the main ingredient that really changes your relationship with this striving in both venues is being present and paying attention. And that's part of a big part of the teaching, of course, that we're involved in. And so not necessarily to change the character of striving purposefully, but you're paying attention and you're being present, changes it organically, I guess. We talked about those issues anyway. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we tend to. I remember, we always hear the term dojo expert. Oh, if you just practice Aikido, you don't want to be just a dojo expert. And I have to say, I wanted to be a dojo expert, something fierce, because there's and to think about it, I mean, I mean, we've all been to seminars where you know you see the person getting picked on and they don't know what the taigi is or they don't know what to do, and you feel so bad for them because they're out there, struggling, and you see that and you go, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. So then I would practice, of course, and know my thing and be able to do that. But then, of course, it's not about that, because even if you do become a dojo expert, it really doesn't help you other than doing stuff on the mat. I mean, that's about it. So, I mean, it just reminds me of the one time I was in Japan and I seen somebody get called up and they were kind of struggling, and I said, oh, I'll go up there and I'll be a good uke for them, and that way they won't get picked on. And it was a person that they weren't from Hawaii. I don't know. I don't even remember who they were. But I remember I go up there and I go to attack him, and I'm staring at the guy's hand the whole time. And Otsuka Sensei stops it and looks at me and goes, "What are you doing attacking like that? That is horrible. You don't attack like that." And then we had a whole side session on how to attack properly, because I was trying to help the guy not get picked on, but then I got picked on because I was the so-called dojo expert that was going to go out there and help that person. And it was just one of those things. You just learned a valuable lesson that day. So, anybody else? Oh, Lynn Curtis Sensei.
I'll just say that yes, the training in the dojo, and most especially Japan, is the great equalizer, the great instant humility training, and yeah. So it's I think we've all had very deep awakenings in Japan, because it's so intense and so rarefied, and it's what do you call it? It's a retreat. That's all we're doing is Aikido 24/7. We're with each other 24/7, and your awakenings can help but arise. So we started talking about our own reasons for training, and why, and there were some common threads, and then everybody had little personal experiences, but yeah, and what, for me, especially during this past year and a half, it's really a good it's really good to ponder, because we're not getting together in the dojo, and we're not moving around together, and in class and seminars, and our whole what do you call it, the structure is completely different, and yeah, so there's a lot really to I don't know, hold on to, think about, and that's why it's good for me to do these Zoom classes, because it really does keep you in touch. I mean, we can't grab each other, we can't, can't move around, but I do see the value in constantly having to to ponder, to think, and to grapple with your own, what's going on in yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, you talk about Japan, and You know, you ain't going to be a dojo expert in Japan because that's what those guys do. They're full time Aikido, they're professional Aikido people. What are you thinking? That's like showing up to a professional sports team and thinking you're going to be a top golfer or soccer player or whatever. That's what they do. I mean, Otsuka Sensei doesn't even know how to drive a car. I mean, he didn't know how to drive a car because he never had to drive a car. You know, he focused 110% on Aikido. Um, yeah, so it's funny because it reminds me, even coming to Maui, you know, from the mainland. I remember there was a guy who came and he was very experienced, and he went up to Suzuki Sensei. Oh, Sensei, I'm doing 1,000 cuts a day, and Suzuki Sensei said, "Oh, let me see you do 3 cuts correctly." You know, just 3. And he couldn't. And he's like, practice for the sake of practice is no good. You know, you just do 1 cut, mind and body coordinated. So, I mean, that's, you think about it. And what that shows you, I mean, you know, yes, we have to have goals, we have to practice, because when you're called upon, you only get one chance. You only get one chance. And so you got to do it correctly the first time. And that's what all this practice comes from. But, you know, it's not about the practice, it's just practicing. Just like Lynn Curtis Sensei said, just come into Zoom classes. Setting a time aside to come at a specific time to get together to do our thing. And if you don't partake in that, then you can get off into this diversive path of thinking, oh, it's about this, and you know, then your I am self starts coming out more and more and more, and this kind of keeps us in check, in a sense. So, yep, thank you for that, Lynn. Anybody else? Lillian.
Hello, Sensei. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wait. Can you hear me? Okay.
No problem. Go ahead.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Sensei. Before I go into the striving and letting go, the thing I really think, as Lynn Curtis Sensei, about coming to the class on Zoom is, besides maintaining a wonderful connection, which we all think of each other when we're not together anyway, but this is a great way to connect, and which is really what our training is. But every class, every discussion gives us such a different way to look at something other than our own way. You know, and I think somebody said it at one of the other classes, that the beauty of this is, instead of it, you know, getting a 45-minute question and answer section at a seminar, right now we're getting lots and lots of Q&A, you know, and this is where a lot of growth happens. So I like this. On the topic of tonight, you know, striving for more, it's interesting because it is an interesting topic, in the fact that there's that balance of wanting more to get you to here, to not want to strive for more. So that whole paradox. And then, you know, it changes who we are as we go along, because as we don't realize sometimes the changes that are happening, because it's like we're always talking about the waves. They're really big waves. They're tsunami waves of our mind that slowly get down maybe to, you know, more surfable waves, and how they're finally little ripples that never go away until you flatline and you're gone. But, you know, you're always working on those, through our meditation and participation and everything else. We start finding that maybe the things that we're striving for are less materialistic. And I know we don't want to strive anyway, you know, because as soon as you say that you're striving, you're wanting something, you're changing something, instead of being here and in the moment and just being. But it's very interesting to me, the changes in what we're striving for, and how it changes who you are at the moment. And looking forward to seeing in the future how that pans out even more. So anyway, but it was a very interesting discussion. I really enjoyed it with Fincher Sensei and Don's comparison to Buddhism and stuff. So a very, very interesting topic. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Elaine. Thank you. So, John, what did you have to say there? Lillian brought your name up.
No, it just reminded me of how the Buddha attained enlightenment, the story of how the Buddha attained enlightenment when he attained enlightenment. He just he decided instead of well, before that he basically almost killed himself trying to attain enlightenment, and then the next time around when he recovered, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna let that go and not have this, like, all this pressure on me, and just he sat and he just um was present instead of like had this goal of becoming enlightenment. And it just reminds me of our practice of just kind of kaiso shosho gyosho, where we have a form where we strive and learn the techniques and the form, but then as we're going through that, we do this we have form with ki and then just ki. So it just kind of reminded me of those steps and how the Buddha attained enlightenment.
Very good, Jack. Yeah, it's interesting. We go through the steps of I mean, I've had people come to a beginner class and so why are you here? Oh, I want to have a black belt in Aikido. I've had people say that the very first day they show up for class. I want to have a black belt in Aikido, because you have this stigmatized about a black belt is something, in America, when actually it's just, you're beginning. Show means beginning. So I mean, yeah, we have these ideas of setting goals and wanting to progress through those goals, which of course, as Curtis Sensei says in the chapter, that's what kept him around for a long time. But you have to let go of that and realize that that's not it. And I think that happens over time through not only training, but just interactions with the teacher, with your fellow mates, at the dojo. Those interactions that you have with the other people, now we're doing it on Zoom, is really important. It's just not about, your training. It's about, and everyone as a group training. Not only, that's why we have so many different styles of training. Suzuki Sensei would always talk about, we have 7 ways of training in a, and he would go through the Hitori Waza, Kumi Waza, all that kind of stuff and talk about it. And yeah, and that's important. But, the whole interaction as a group is really super important as well. Anyone else? Ilaria, Vitali, Sasaki Sensei. Ilaria, go ahead.
Hi, Sensei. Hi, everyone. So my group was Linda Sasaki Sensei, Vitali, and Lynn Curtis Sensei. And I shared how, well, your topic made me ask myself how I view the training. And I do often view it as having a goal where I want to develop myself as much as possible in weapons and in Kokyu. And I even get in the mindset where we're at a key seminar and I can't move, or I can't move someone, and I go, oh, I just need to meditate more and then I'll be able to. That. But there were also some interesting things that we talked about in our group. Basically how, like you said, it's needing a goal, having a goal is necessary to some extent, but it's hard to get away from that. Sometimes even when we think we're past it, it'll like sneak up on us. So it's kind of always present. And 2 of the people in the group said that we kind of talked about why we train. And 2 people said that people have asked them, oh, you're still in Aikido? Why are you still doing that? Like, why haven't you moved on to something else? And it made me think about how Aikido is always always brand new. There's no like final pinnacle of attainment or mastery. So, I mean, for me, I'm always a beginner. And I even was in a class with Susan Grigsby Sensei after I got my Shodan that was like amazing, and it blew my mind, and everything seemed completely brand new to me. So that was what I shared. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, even, having the goal of having no goal is still a goal. We just don't see it that way. I mean, we think, oh, I don't have a goal. See, I'm so good. I mean, it can happen. It's so tricky like that. I mean, it can just happen and you don't even know it. So you have to, that's what, Fincher Sterling Sensei was saying, you got to you got to just be aware, be present in the moment. Just continue to cultivate this beginner's mind, in a sense, that's not having a sense of, oh, I know what's going to happen, or I know the answer to that. That's so, I was going to say that's so me to have that kind of attitude of just, oh, I know the answer to this. Where's he going to go with this one? I was really good at that with, I'd be listening to Curtis Sensei's talk and going, oh, okay. Or I'd even go, oh, not this story again. And I'd even tell him in the dressing room, Sensei, that story you just told. But, it wasn't about that. I mean, that was so silly of me to think it was, but of course, that's it's just what happens. And that's all a part of evolving and moving forward and actually being aware of you're doing that. So, yeah. So Vitali or Linda Sasaki Sensei, any comments? No requirement, mind you, but if you would like to comment, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, our group, like Alaria said, consisted of Curtis Sensei, Vitali, Alaria, and myself. And Vitali was the first one to speak, and he said he trains and he does Aikido because he feels better afterwards. It makes him feel great. And I thought, yeah, that I like that too, because in the beginning you train, right, Tracy? This goal is training. And as Lynn Curtis Sensei says, you always want to be magnanimous about Aikido and outgoing and trying to be goalless, but there's always that little bit of, I guess, vanity and arrogance that will poke its little head now and then. And especially when she said, when we were in Japan, I watched these guys and they were fabulous. And I often thought, this is incredible. And then the second thought was, can I be able to do that? And I told Lynn, yeah, you got to have some vanity and arrogance, or else you never would have continued with Aikido. But I think for most of us who've been in it a long time, because that's Lynn Curtis brought up the fact that people would always say, why are you still in Aikido? It's too many years, go on to something else. And it's like, they would tell me that too, but I asked Lynn, oh, but along the way, didn't you notice that instead of saying, because it's training and discipline and it does all this health benefits and relations, it becomes a way of life? Somewhere some years back, it just became just a way of life. And it benefits myself and my ability to relate to people, as I can apply this in work and everything. So it's like, the second question will be, did you ever have to use it? And I would always tell them, yeah, every day, breathing, meditation. And they go, no, the kind, chop, 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 chop. And I thought, oh boy, different reality. But yeah, I think for the most of it, in our group, it was like, we really enjoy it. we really have the benefits of it. And hopefully, said benefits also extend to your outer circle and your relationships and your health. And so that little bit of arrogance and vanity pokes his head down, then you just have to keep an eye on it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Vitaly, what do you think?
Hello, Sensei. Hello, everyone again. I was in the same group. So our topic was why we practice Aikido, and do we have goals in that practice or not? As previous speaker said, I have no goal in practice Aikido. I practice it because I like it. I say I do this because of instead of in order to. When I have no goal, I do it because of. But in other activities, what about me? I have a Western approach. I have goal and I reach the goal, and then I reach the goal, I quit. So that is why I will be in Aikido for a longer time, because I have no goal. I cannot reach it, and so I will be. I guess I will be there all my life. So that was, and one more point. Why? How I. How I am in Aikido. Then someone demonstrates some techniques or test or something else. I wonder, oh, it works. Let it try. And I have no goal to pass a test or something like this. The idea is, let me try. Oh, it works. But maybe it is not work for me. What should I do to make it work with me? For example, for test or something else. That was my thought about the topic.
Yeah, I can see that. Very good. Having, we tend to have goals, of course, in our personal life, and that's okay. And we tend to carry those over to our other training, and that's why a lot of us, like Curtis Sensei was saying in the book, we get into spiritual practice for that very reason. We're tired of struggling and we want to have a new take on reality. And that's okay. I always used to say, well, Sensei, let's show them some really fancy stuff so we'll get new members and they'll think we're really doing this. And he would go, no. And I go, but we really need to do some really fancy stuff and show them how to, do this and whatever. And he go, no, that's not what it's about. What it's about is this. Yeah, but we need to get more members. And it's always that thing, of being able to show the practice in a method that is palatable to other people. And that's the one thing I think, when you met, Suzuki Sensei or, Toi Sensei, whoever, you just felt in their presence, you were just like, oh yeah, I just want to do that. Whatever they're doing, I want to do that, because they were just being who they were, When I'm around Curtis Sensei, I just want to, oh yeah, I just want to be like that, and not think about how to do it, but just to recognize it. Because when you recognize it, you can eventually recognize it in yourself, and then you're on the right path, I think. So I don't know if you guys have gotten the book Otomo yet, but I would recommend it. It's a good book. You can order it, I think, on Amazon or through our dojo website, I think. I'm not sure. We're in the midst of changing the dojo website, so bear with us on that. But you can definitely order it off Amazon. It's a print on demand book, so they will print it and ship it to you. I have nothing else to share, so.
Excuse me, Tracy,
oh, yeah.
how long does it take to have that delivered to you? Because the last one I ordered was a really long time.
I think it's rather quick. I think
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure the exact time frame, but I think it's within a week. You should get it.
Okay.
Oh, Lillian, you're muted there. I didn't hear what you said.
I was just not in agreement since it, yeah, now it comes real fast because the first book didn't, but this one came real fast.
Okay, good.
You know, when the manual didn't, because the manual took forever when we redid the manual, but
Okay.
Otomo came within a week.
Oh, good. Have you read it yet, Lillian?
I'm in the process. That's what I read before class every Friday night.
Ah,
So I'm almost halfway through it.
okay. Good.
Very interesting. I'm going to read it more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right, great. Thank you all very much. Hope to see you on Sunday. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. And have a good weekend and a good night, folks.